Hello everyone. My name is Nitin Pangam, and I am the director of Mayflower Consulting and OCO Global in India. My team and I, my colleagues and I, work with Indian companies on their international investments, notably in North America and in some places in Europe as well. So whether it's a manufacturing project or a R&D capability that Indian companies looking to get into, or indeed warehousing or distribution capabilities, we guide Indian investors. And over the years, we've worked with multiple companies across sectors. So companies in technology, in plastics and packaging, in aerostructures, some projects in biosciences and biomanufacturing. So we've been kind of fortunate to have experience across sectors. Um, we help Indian companies on various fronts. One is to help them understand the issues to do with regulations and the regulatory landscape in the US or North America. Also on topics such as site selection, location analysis, and many a times help them understand the incentives, the grants, and the tax credits that could be available to them. So I think many Indian companies find our services to be attractive. That's what we do. Today, I'm very happy to collaborate with Invest Puerto Rico on this webinar, and I'm happy to share my experience here that may help Indian companies win in the US. So, what is getting to be a bit more exciting, in the recent past, is that there are two or three themes that are playing out, which are necessitating Indian companies to look at investing in the US. One of them is historical. The size and the lucrativeness of the U.S. market has always, been a big draw. So, companies like Motherson or Bharat Forge or Sundaram in automotive components have done particularly well. And across sectors, I mean, we've worked with or not worked with, we know of companies like Wellspun and Trident in home furnishings that have succeeded in the US. So, one is the size of the market. Uh, the second area that is kind of coming to my mind is some of the favorable regulatory changes in the US. So last year we studied the Inflation Reduction Act and what it means to Indian companies in the solar industry. So we believe that about 30% of tax credits are available to solar companies, international investors, and also through production tax incentives that can go, as high as 40%, slightly beyond. So these regulatory changes, which are favorable in getting tax credits to a high tune, are kind of necessitating large solar players to invest in the US because domestic content or domestic manufacturing is important when you avail of the incentives. So uh, a very large number of solar manufacturing in India, is now looking at manufacturing in the US. The second example that comes to my mind is in the pharmaceutical industry, where again, favorable regulations by the US FDA, which help in accelerated approvals, which help, get uh, designated or niche therapies faster access to the US market. It's promoting a lot of interest in India. So last month, Enzene Biosciences, they come from my city of Pune. They announced a $50 million investment in New Jersey for biomanufacturing. Just a month prior to that, Granules India from Hyderabad announced their US project in pharmaceutical packaging in Virginia. And before that, a few months back, Aurobindo Pharma has set up in Puerto Rico, which is a very positive thing for my colleagues in Puerto Rico. So these are just two examples of regulatory changes taking the Indian interest to a higher degree. We recently interacted with a lot of companies that attended the Select USA Roadshow in Washington D.C., as well as a very interesting event by the Indo-American Chamber of Commerce in Jaipur, which was attended by 200 more Indian companies. So we got to interact with 300 plus companies. And we saw that this is the second theme that is playing out. We saw that the perception of US to be a high-cost manufacturing destination is coming down, and understandably so. And in many states, the minimum cost, or minimum wages for semi-skilled or skilled operations is getting to be fairly attractive, and as cost of wages go higher in India. So, really, I'll summarize by saying that if you look at a combination of costs of wages, especially in jurisdictions or territories like Puerto Rico, coupled with the state incentives, grants, and support financial incentives, if you combine these three, the costs of operations in the US are fairly attractive. So again, attractive markets, slightly lower manufacturing costs or perception of manufacturing costs, and favorable regulations. If you club these all things together, I think it's an exciting phase for Indian companies to look at the US and particularly Puerto Rico. Of course, one needs to be cognizant of some of the regulatory and tax challenges. The lay of the land is different. So how one navigates issues like intellectual property or social security norms or statutory filings or tax filings, so things are a bit different, and I would strongly advise Indian companies to take advice from the relevant experts out there, because we don't want to hurt ourselves on any of these issues. So the attractiveness needs to be tempered down with the right advice on the compliance, tax, and IPR issues. So I'm also advising a word of caution in terms of taking a bit more time and advice to navigate the regulatory landscape. So indeed, attractive days for us. I would encourage all of you to take advantage of the experts in Puerto Rico at Invest Puerto Rico. I think it's a great location for Indian manufacturers, given the proximity to both South America and, of course, the mainland North America, given the favorable weather conditions, which are far more palatable to us Indians, as well as the bilingual language capabilities. So please feel free to get in touch with Puerto Rico, Invest Puerto Rico, and take advantage of their expertise. Of course, we are here. I'm here if you need any specific inputs from me. So I'll stop with that. Thank you so much for your attention, and I wish you the best in winning in the US markets, hopefully through Puerto Rico. Thank you.
Thank you, Nitin. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am attorney Karen Mojica, Business Development Director for Invest Puerto Rico, based in San Juan, our island's capital. 2 years ago, I started helping Aurobindo Pharma as their top leadership decided to establish a manufacturing operation in Puerto Rico. As you may know, they already have significant operations in Hyderabad and New Jersey. So over the months when we collaborated and during their many visits to Puerto Rico, the Aurobindo team recommended that we present Puerto Rico to Indian companies looking to expand to the United States. This opportunity to speak with you all today results from our work with Aurobindo, who now has a large manufacturing site in Puerto Rico and is planning to build a second plant here. We are very grateful to their team, and we hope that today you will learn about some of the benefits of doing business in Puerto Rico, USA. We are the southernmost territory of the United States, and from our strategic location in the Caribbean Basin, we are the perfect gateway to North and South America, as Nitin mentioned. The Invest Puerto Rico team will be available to answer your questions in individual follow-up meetings, so please share your questions in the chat feature of this webinar or send them to me via email. You will receive my contact information at the end of this webinar, and our team will reach out to you by email to respond and schedule a time to connect in an individual basis where we can discuss with you the particulars of your business. So we also plan to visit India this next November and hope to visit some of your companies and teams. Since many or most of you have not visited Puerto Rico, let's kick things off with a brief video that will give you a preview of the island.
We welcome the free thinkers, the innovators who sense opportunities even where others can't. Those who could live anywhere but choose to go where they could build something new. Innovative solutions, groundbreaking work, big ambitions. We welcome all of these in Puerto Rico. We have an ecosystem of partners ready to support your vision. A highly educated bilingual workforce eager to grow with you. Cutting-edge broadband and 5G infrastructure. And smart tax incentives that let you take bolder steps. World-leading companies already call Puerto Rico home. Technological innovations are driving the island's energy transformation. and great advancements in clinical research are helping people live longer, healthier lives. For those leading the way forward, our doors are open. Game changers, welcome home.
So, all of you game changers, let's dive in. Invest Puerto Rico is Puerto Rico's official nonprofit economic development organization. We aim to promote the island as a business and investment destination, and we support companies and individuals looking to establish themselves here. We were created by law in 2017, and our services are free of charge to all clients. We work very closely with the service providers on the island, government officials, and the private sector. We are your first point of contact in Puerto Rico, and we can help you by providing access to data about the local business landscape so that you can make informed decisions as you plan your expansion. We help companies identify real estate that suits their needs. We connect them with the talent they will require to operate successfully in Puerto Rico. We navigate the legal regulations and the tax incentives that are available for new companies and individuals. We provide connections to stakeholders in the public and private sectors, and we facilitate access to investors and partners in Puerto Rico. We work under strict confidentiality and ethical parameters with all of our clients. So, why is Puerto Rico's economy the largest and most diverse in the Caribbean? Our island measures 100 miles by 35 miles with a population of 3.2 US million citizens. It is more populous than 20 states in the continental US. There are also more than 5 million Puerto Ricans on the US mainland. The average annual salary is about $30,500. From Puerto Rico, we export to more than 135 countries and import about 80% of the products we consume. Puerto Rico has a gross domestic product of $113 billion. As this breakdown of our economy demonstrates, even though the island is a tropical paradise, tourism only makes up about 8% of our GDP. Actually, almost 50% of our GDP comes from manufacturing, and out of that, close to 90% comes from the manufacturing of drugs and medical devices. We also manufacture electrical equipment, computers, electronics, food, beverages, tobacco, chemicals, military uniforms and parachutes, and other products. The island is also very solid in professional services, mainly due to our highly educated population, providing support services to key industries worldwide. So, what makes Puerto Rico so unique, and what is happening here? Surely you're familiar with many of these names that you see on the screen. So Amgen, AbbVie, Sartorius, Terumo, Boston Scientific, Eli Lilly, Stryker, Medtronic, Aurobindo, and many more of these global bioscience giants. Let's discuss why they're doing business in Puerto Rico and why we are a preferred manufacturing hub. Puerto Rico is often referred to as America's medicine cabinet. We export more than $53 billion in bioscience products every year, which makes Puerto Rico the #1 producer of pharmaceutical products in the United States. Actually, we produce more than the following 2 states combined. The island currently hosts 8 of the world's 15 top grossing pharmaceutical companies and 11 of the top 20 Class 3 medical device manufacturers. We produce 6 of the top 10 biologics in the world. We have over 50 years of experience in pharma and medical device manufacturing and more than 30 years in sterile manufacturing. So we are leaders in compliance and quality control. Puerto Rico has the highest concentration of both pharmaceutical and medical device manufacturing professionals in the United States. In addition to being a biosciences hub, the island is exceptionally well positioned in advanced manufacturing operations related to aerospace. Deep expertise in electronics manufacturing combined with the ability to support national security and defense industries that require manufacturers and service providers to be in the USA to serve the US Department of Defense. So made in Puerto Rico is made in the USA. Honeywell, Infosys, Infotech, and Lufthansa are some of the companies in this sector that maintain significant operations in Puerto Rico. Energy companies are also booming on the island as we move to 100% renewables by the year 2040. Solar is Puerto Rico's fastest growing source of clean energy, and our large industrial operations all rely on alternative energy sources like cogeneration with hydrogen to maximize their redundancy, efficiency, and process continuity. Our technology ecosystem thrives thanks to our workforce. Approximately 25,000 talents graduate in STEM fields every year, and about 50% of those graduates are engineers. and 60% of those are female engineers. We are the top producer of Hispanic engineers. Puerto Rico has the busiest seaport and airport in the Caribbean, with direct flights to US, Europe, and Latin America. We are experts in managing logistics systems, from the high security transfer of controlled substances, cold storage, climate control management, etc. As we analyze Puerto Rico's value proposition for businesses, we focus mainly on 8 key pillars: our stable and regulated business climate as a territory of the United States, our keen emphasis on talent and education, our strategic location, our robust infrastructure and logistics network, our landing pads for companies to plug in and play, our unrivaled tax benefits and policy, strong organizational support, and of course, an enviable tropical lifestyle with warm people who make great partners, employees, and neighbors. As a U.S. jurisdiction, Puerto Rico offers the same operational security, stability, and protections as the mainland United States, so that you can invest with confidence. The U.S. dollar is the official currency. Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens. U.S. federal law and all the framework and protections that go with it apply in Puerto Rico, including intellectual property and patent protection, which is so important. U.S. banking laws and regulations apply, including the credibility and protections by the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC. Regulatory agencies like the FDA, the Federal Drug Administration, apply as well. And actually, many of the FDA inspectors that inspect factories in Asia are trained in FDA offices in Puerto Rico. We are very heavy on compliance. And of course, manufactured goods can be labeled as made in the USA. As we all know, talent is critical. Puerto Rico's greatest asset is its people. With more than 80 universities and colleges, we have a highly educated and competitive workforce. The University of Puerto Rico at Mayagüez, for example, ranks among the top science and engineering institutions and graduates the highest number of Hispanic engineers. That's why it's a primary recruitment source for NASA, among many other companies. So 50% of university graduates in Puerto Rico hold a STEM degree. And that is outpacing the U.S. national average by 20%, which is very significant. We have the 6th highest availability of scientists and engineers in the world, which is amazing considering we are a small territory. Our primary language is Spanish, and our population is bilingual and fluent in English. And jokingly, we say that our 3rd language is GMP. As you can see in this map, academic institutions are distributed across our geography, which means that a company can access talent all around the island. And Invest Puerto Rico can help you liaise with all universities and colleges on the island and with recruitment partners. We already mentioned that Puerto Rico has the highest concentration of both pharmaceutical and medical device manufacturing professionals in the US. This slide shows just how much higher this concentration is compared to states like New Jersey, Indiana, North Carolina, California, New York, Florida, and others. This map gives you an idea of where the medical devices and pharmaceutical companies are located in the island. And of course, we can share this presentation with you afterwards so you can take a closer look. And a lot of these maps are also available on our website. Our tech ecosystem is supported by advanced manufacturing and electronics, servicing sectors like medical device manufacturing, aerospace operations, and information technology, among others. Puerto Rico's aerospace cluster is grouped mainly in the northwest, in the town of Aguadilla, which is actually also close to Mayagüez, where the university I talked about is located. So these companies are mainly next door to the former Strategic Air Command Center, Ramey Air Force Base, which is now an international airport. Puerto Rico is located in a smaller circle on the diagram, just a 2.5-hour flight from Florida. And there are practically, maybe 10 flights a day out to Florida or more, 3 hours from New York, 8 hours from Spain, and 9 hours from London. We are in the same time zone as the East Coast of mainland US, which is also very convenient when you're looking to do business in the United States. Being on the same time zone, you understand that perfectly. So from Puerto Rico, you can access shipping and air routes to North and South America and also to Europe. And location is critical when you want to be close to the market in the United States. And of course, with President Biden's mandate to reshore or nearshore, Puerto Rico is the ideal place to achieve this while accessing unique advantages. Here you can see our 3 international airports and 11 seaports. We host the busiest passenger hub in the Caribbean and the highest volume port system in the Caribbean. 90% of all exports are bioscience products. A key advantage is that Puerto Rico hosts the largest non-contiguous foreign trade zone in the United States. This allows companies to store or process raw materials, components, and finished goods while deferring or eliminating the custom duty rate of such merchandise. Companies benefit from robust 5G across the island and zero-G networks, broadband access, low-RA capabilities, and extensive satellite connections. Puerto Rico is the only U.S. jurisdiction with both 5G and IoT network capabilities, which is crucial to serving businesses in high-tech industries. In addition to Puerto Rico's pharma manufacturing landscape, the island hosts research centers that provide commercial and academic space to address real-world challenges. These include the Molecular Science Research Center, which is the prime life sciences research lab in Puerto Rico. The turnkey partnership development management organization called Ocean Bio, which is located in Aguadilla, offers a unique business model for gene and cell therapy startups, blending autonomous manufacturing capacity with interconnected infrastructure to support the development from preclinical to commercial start, serving as CGMP incubator space. Also, Hub 787 is ideal for 5G, IoT, ISP, AI, and machine learning tech companies and governmental agencies or contractors. Hub 787 boasts the highest level of connectivity, redundancy, and it's the only Tier 3 cable landing station and data center in the Caribbean. So tenants there will have access to the most robust land fiber optic infrastructure in Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico may be small, but we are huge in innovation. The island's impressive entrepreneurial ecosystem includes nonprofits, incubators, accelerators, co-working spaces, access to startup capital support, workforce development programs for tech talent, and more. In the last 7 years, there has been a 7-fold increase in the number of private equity funds in Puerto Rico. So additional to the local investor community, many of the world's most innovative and experienced investment funds have been moving to Puerto Rico and building out portfolios here. These include Pantera Capital, Phoenix Fund, BlackRock, and major family offices. And of course, our team at Invest Puerto Rico can facilitate connections to local investors for companies that decide to expand operations on the island. As you consider where in the United States to establish your company, tax incentives can be essential in determining the ideal location. In Puerto Rico, since we are a territory and not a state, we do not pay federal taxes, and our local government can offer desirable tax benefits that are not available on the U.S. mainland. So Puerto Rico offers the most impressive and attractive tax incentives in the United States. Under the Puerto Rico Tax Incentives Code, which is Act 60, 2019, the government awards preferential tax rates to eligible companies in various industries and sectors. Companies that qualify can receive a 4% tax rate on income generated from eligible activities. And remember, there's no federal taxation. So where you go on the mainland, even if a state says that you don't have to pay income tax, you do have the federal, which is always around 21%. So in Puerto Rico, you don't have that 21%. It is a flat 4% tax rate on income generated from the eligible activities of your company in Puerto Rico. Complete tax exemption on the distribution of dividends. A 75% exemption on property and construction taxes, and a 50% exemption from other municipal taxes. Act 60 offers exemptions for individuals and companies engaged in exporting goods and services, providing financial and insurance services. If you're part of the visitor economy with a hospitality project, for example, a manufacturing operation, research and development, infrastructure and green energy, agriculture, creative industries, entrepreneurship, innovative activities, and air and maritime transport, among others. So pretty much every commercial activity, industrial activity is covered under Act 60, and there are incentives for it. These incentives are requested from the government of Puerto Rico through a digital platform. the incentives platform. When they're granted, they become a contract with a term of 15 years, and it can be renegotiated for another 15 years. So in total, 30 years of this preferential tax treatment. This contract is protected by the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of Puerto Rico, and it will become the law between the parties. So even if there is a change in Act 60, your contract is protected, and what is there is the law between the parties. It is important to note that the Double Taxation Avoidance Agreement, or DTAA, that exists between India and the US also extends to Puerto Rico. So as per the DTAA, the same income is not taxable in both countries. Thus, if you have paid tax on such income in the USA, you can claim the credit of such tax paid in India and vice versa. An Indian company or individual will not be taxed twice on the same income. Additional to the preferential tax rate of 4% and the exceptions we mentioned, there are incentives in the form of tax credits that can be used against a company's tax liability in Puerto Rico, or they can be sold on the open market for 90 cents on the dollar. For example, manufacturing companies that purchase products made in Puerto Rico will receive tax credits of up to 25% of the purchases made during the taxable year. This is a recurring fund that you can request every year as long as you're making these purchases. And for research and development activities, up to 50% of the investments made in the R&D activity can be returned to you as tax credits. This credit can be requested annually, and it covers the cost of manpower, machinery, and other elements of the R&D activity taking place in Puerto Rico. This is a key distinction to make because on mainland US, the definition of R&D is a lot more restrictive. In Puerto Rico, it's broader, so more of your expenses will be covered. Up to 50% of your investments can be returned to you in the tax credits. This benefit is highly appealing, distinctive to Puerto Rico, as I just said, and can help a company maintain cash liquidity as it grows and develops its new products. A third type of incentive is available in the form of cash grants. So these cash grants can be awarded for job creation, infrastructure improvements, and machinery and equipment investments. For example, a company could be reimbursed 30% of all their expenses in machinery and equipment for their operation in Puerto Rico. There are also cash grants for training the company's workforce. A company could receive a reimbursement of up to 50% of the payroll of employees while they're trained. This is under the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. It's a federal law that applies here in Puerto Rico as well. These are federal funds that we have every year. So this is also a recurring cash grant program. Before closing this webinar, we wanted to share that there are about 3,500 people from India in Puerto Rico, which is the largest Asian population on the island. The Indian Association of Puerto Rico promotes and propagates your culture and traditions on the island, and we frequently interact with Indian entrepreneurs and investors who have made Puerto Rico their home. Flight times between our countries are about 17 hours. Puerto Rico is a 2.5-hour flight from Florida, remember, and a 3.5-hour flight from New York. Regarding visa requirements, U.S. immigration laws are applicable in Puerto Rico. So Indian citizens who wish to live in Puerto Rico must apply for the appropriate U.S. visa, such as a work visa, student visa, or family-based visa. Regarding trade between India and Puerto Rico, this includes our exports of generic drugs, biologics, medical devices, and other healthcare products to your country. Puerto Rico's high-quality pharmaceutical products meet the demand for affordable medications in the Indian market. In turn, Puerto Rico imports a significant amount of textiles and apparel from India, as well as spices, tea, rice, and processed food items. By the way, it is not uncommon to find ethnic stores with Indian furniture and statues of Buddha, Ganesh, Lakshmi, Krishna, and others. We are fascinated by your culture. Some Indian companies that have been established in Puerto Rico are Infosys, for example, with more than 150 employees. They're located also in Aguadilla, and their operation in Puerto Rico is a regional hub and center of excellence for the aviation and aerospace industry, servicing global clients in the US, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Of course, we already mentioned our friends in Aurobindo, who will invest approximately $100 million in Puerto Rico and generate about 500 jobs. They chose the town of Caguas, which is in the center of the island, but it's still part of the greater metropolitan area. Aseidis is a successful provider of a comprehensive package of end-to-end e-commerce solutions, and they are located here in Puerto Rico. And ZByte is an Indian, Puerto Rico-based blockchain infrastructure startup with 40 members. They're dedicated to building a low-code, no-code platform, which makes it simple for developers to build decentralized apps. We hope that some of you who are connected today will join this growing group of Indian companies in Puerto Rico and accelerate your success in the U.S. market from Puerto Rico. The island offers the confidence of the U.S. flag, all the same legal and regulatory protections, but a tax environment that is not available on the mainland, a skilled bilingual workforce that is about 30% less expensive than on the mainland, and of course, quality of life. So in Puerto Rico, we enjoy the idyllic setting of a tropical paradise. And as Nitin mentioned, our weather is very similar and more palatable to Indian residents. Beach weather all year round, a rich and vibrant culture alive with music, food and drink, some of the world's best beaches, tropical rainforests, rivers, mountains, and the warmth and friendliness of the Puerto Rican people. We care about fostering good relations. We prioritize our families and our values. We value integrity and honesty, which translates to all our relations in business. The best way to know the island is to contact Invest Puerto Rico for a conversation. And if you're interested, we will help you plan a visit and an agenda to meet with the right people and resources for your business success. I invite you to visit our website, investpr.org, where you'll find detailed information for all industry sectors, downloadable materials, and important reports like the local talent profile, which will be very interesting for you to get acquainted with. This is my contact information. I hope today's webinar has been insightful and that you are interested in learning more. Please reach out with your questions and plans. Our team will get back to you as soon as possible. It has been my pleasure to talk to you about the benefits of doing business in my native Puerto Rico, which I dearly love. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll speak again soon.